Welcome back to the Masters of Recon podcast, your top automotive refinishing podcast with your hosts, Corey Kleinfeld
and Ryan Brewer. Enjoy the show, everyone.
Welcome back to the Masters of Recon podcast. Today, we have a special guest from Rochester, New York. His name is Dan Richichi, also known as the Dent Guy. Decided a year and a half ago to venture his way into the RestorFX world as well. Welcome to the show, Dan. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks, Corey. Hey, Ryan. How you doing?
Good.
So I've known Dan for several years in the PDR 20 group. As the Dent Guy, coined, trademarked, has the URL, right? Not just any Dent Guy, the Dent Guy.
Right.
I know you got all the stuff locked down on that as far as websites and everything, but tell us how you got into dents, and then we'll get into RestorFX side.
Dents, man, that's a whole story in itself. But I was a body tech of 20 years. The short story, body tech of 20 years, and had a stroke. Was out of work for 2.5 years. Came back, and I was just tired of working in the body shop and all that. I always thought paintless dent repair was fascinating to me.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, being a 10 knocker, and I always thought, hey, if I can learn this, I can finish these bigger dents that I'm roughing out for body filler with paintless dent repair. Obviously, with a lot of training and practice, but
sure.
But yeah, we've been doing that going on 13 years now.
So yeah, I think we talked about. I think I interviewed you on the PDR Coach podcast probably 3 years ago now.
A while
before
ago,
before I trained it, before I turned it into the Master of Recon. But that's honestly a crazy story of just like the resilience of having a stroke and being out for multiple years, obviously on just disability, essentially.
Yeah, I was on
trying
disability
to recover.
and everything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so you came back, instead of going back to the body shop world, you're like, all right, since I've been out of work for 2 years anyways, I'm just going to start training on the PDR side. Is that kind of how the thought process went?
Yeah, I went back to the body shop world, and I was basically managing the shop and not working in the shop as much. And I started teaching myself PDR. And I guess I'm just a glutton for punishment because I had it easy, and then, just keep throwing logs on the fire.
Yeah, I had it easy with just running a body shop, basically.
Oh, I could have stayed home and done nothing the rest of my life, and but no, I went back to that and everything, and same as being a business owner, you're the face of the shop, you're the one that's getting screamed at. I'm like, well, if I'm going to do that, I might as well do it for myself.
100%.
So,
well, yeah, I mean, Ryan, you stepped away for a second, but he said he had a stroke, came back on disability, but decided to come back, and just as a macro thought process on that, I mean, I personally appreciate that, and I think a lot of maybe previous generations would appreciate that, but man, someone hurts their pinky now and it's like they're out for years or something, and your dude has a stroke. I remember too, like when I met you several years ago, I don't think you still had some signs of, or maybe I saw pictures or something.
Yeah, no, eye gets bloodshot a lot because I had two strabismus surgeries to stop like the lazy eye. Mm-hmm. And then I don't have my vision up in the upper left quadrant. So
yeah. You don't need that to fix dents, apparently. It's all good. But yeah, instead of
I'm a little different anyway. I'm a line guy, so.
Oh no!
Damn.
Oh no!
But instead of just bowing out and saying like, I had a stroke, I'm done working for life, come back, learn PDR, start a PDR business, add RestorFX. The shop you're in now is legit shop. Like you could grow, like you have so much more room for growth into that, and just not sitting around and being lazy. And there's just something to be said just for that alone.
Someday I'd love to be in my office. Yeah. My office down the hall, but
yeah. Is that one of your reasons for opening up RestorFX? Because you knew it was one of the ways to get you more income, to get you out of pushing as much?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been pushing that much lately. I do have a technician, and then I've got a sub that comes in and works for me as well. But I'm still out in the shop doing that. And I mean, we'll talk about like, RestorFX employees and stuff. I've been doing everything, up front. I'm doing RestorFX late at night to get it done because nobody's there to do it. And but yeah, it is a goal. Everybody was adding services and everything like that, and I knew I wanted to get out of the shop that I was in. And after 2 years of looking into this and everything, and finally making a trip up to Ryan's place in Canada, I'm like, yeah, this can work. And then I kind of broke things down. I'm like, well, for this, I need this amount of square footage, but it makes sense if you're processing cars with RestorFX and you're doing dent repair, you basically split your rent in half and divide it per two different companies.
Right.
You know, so
the downside is you're trying to grow 2 different companies at the same time. Lots of potentially overlap, you know, because you can sell PDR and RestorFX or ceramic coating at the same time, which we've all done. But
well, and I feel with like my dent company's been full retail forever. Like I don't go out to the dealers or anything like that. I have just started doing dealer accounts where they're bringing me stuff that their guys aren't doing, and I'm actually like kind of hooked up with like the recon side of it. And you know, I've got them based off of, okay, well, it's $600 a panel at your body shop, and I'm fixing a crushed fender, and I'm giving them 50% off of retail, and they're happy with that.
Yeah.
So, which is a lot better than going to the lot and being like, well, your panel price is this and that. It's like, just create your own industry, right?
Right.
Like I don't even want to deal with the stuff on the lot. I'm not going to come to your lot. I'm not walking the lot. You call me when you got something and we'll fix it for you. So
nice.
It's working. It's a work in progress, but that was one of my goals.
Do you think RestorFX was harder for you to start because you didn't have a dealership base?
Well, I'm starting that dealership base all over again. I've been quite busy with it on the retail side of it, because obviously I've got the pamphlets, I've got cards, you can see it playing in the background in the waiting area. And people are really interested, like the appearance of the shop and everything. We're like, oh, what else do you do? Oh, well, let me show you, you know, and it sells very easily. One of the reasons I brought on RestorFX was to keep more damage here in the shop. And, you know, somebody comes in with that huge dent with a scrape on it, and even if they have to leave, we can RestorFX the panel after the dent, and it has a little bit of touch up on it. 9 times out of the 10, the car's got a chip somewhere else that needs a touch up on it too. Yeah. And the price point's not ridiculous, so we're still under like the body shop painting the whole side of the car to make it the repair good.
Yep.
So it's just trying to be a chameleon, right? Trying to fit your services into every little circumstance and give the customer what they're looking for, because in the end they don't want to paint the whole side of their car either.
What's funny with RestorFX, customers are never really looking for it, right? They find out about it from us, which is like always the struggle. We always talk about it. It's trying to get the general population to know about paintless dent repair, and then we just like threw this whole other beast on. You know, we always talk about it in all the podcasts. It's like, you know, it's like you're doing it all over again. Right. Yeah. And that's pretty stressful. I mean, it's definitely stressful on me for sure. It was hard. But we had a large wholesale base, so it kind of worked for us to keep the shop busy, but it's still a struggle trying to get the retail base. It's easy when somebody comes in for a dent, right? Because we can physically ship. It's like that thing you have to see to believe it, right?
Yep.
So if you have the customer in the shop with a dent or any other service, it's easy to sell. But to get a customer from nothing that knows nothing about it, it's very, very difficult.
Yeah, like during the summer when I've got multiple cars sitting around in different stages and stuff like that, they're just, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like, and it may not be that, like I've had people come in and we did something in one vehicle and they're like, I've got a Corvette at home that would be great for this. All right, bring it over. Let's see it. You know, even the Porsche Club, I did a demo for them when they're here, the Niagara Region Porsche Club. And it was funny because I was out at SEMA and the PCA, a couple of guys came over from that and they were talking to Nadia. And then after Nadia was done, I jumped over and I'm like, hey, I advertising flat out for our region. He goes, oh my God, that's awesome. You know, we need more of you guys across the country for our cars, you know, for their track cars that are getting all tore up and rock chips and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And because we've got Watkins Glen here, and like everybody takes their car down there and has track days and stuff like that, and they're tearing their car up, and so no, it's good. As far as getting out there is with retail, I actually took some time over break, and I started going into my website for RestorFX and just pulling information from it and making posts and putting it in my social monials account, and then linking it back to the website as well. Like as simple as, hey, does RestorFX repaint cars? And then copy some of the verbiage and put it there, but then put a link back to that page to just kind of start cycling stuff out there, you know, because
you should try AI. I tried it the other day for RestorFX, and I'm trying to write some policies and procedures for my company, for my employees, right? For the guys that work for us. And I was sitting here trying to figure out, you know, what's the job duties of a lead technician. And I'm like, I know this physically, but putting it on paper was hard for me.
How do I put it in words? Right.
I literally asked the AI, and I was like, there's no way they're going to know what it is, right? Dude, this AI spit out every job duty RestorFX lead technician was supposed to do. And I have no idea where they got it from. It's on the internet somewhere.
Well, the ChatGPT.
Yeah, ChatGPT. Yeah.
Yeah. So ChatGPT is basically an advanced search engine where it's searching everything on the internet and then coming up with the verbiage for it. Yeah. So it's not quite, in my opinion, it's not quite AI yet in like that, because they're just basically like, that's kind of what Google's been doing for like really long time, is just like searching the internet and like giving you the best answer. And now it's just writing it for you, which is cool. For sure. And I've used ChatGPT to make blog posts and all kinds of stuff.
Copyright, it's great for that.
Yeah. When it starts creating its own things, that'll be interesting. As for now, I mean, I've put blog posts about it. Dan's put blog posts about it. Every other RestorFX.com. Anybody across the world who's put a blog post about it, it'll pull from that and make a friggin' article for you or procedure for you. It's pretty wild.
Yeah,
you can actually put to like check out Dat Pro Sacramento website and write article on blah blah blah, and it'll just go go to your website and everything
specifically. Interesting. So, yeah,
but I believe that's the paid service. You have to pay for that one.
$20 a month or 15 or something.
But then you can put an actual URL in it and it'll go there. You know,
wow.
So like say Corey had some sweet blog post on RestorFX on Forerunner that was off-roading, right? You could put that in and it would go and it would take his blog post and hopefully change it around, but rewrite you another blog post. And then you can replace RestorFX Sacramento with RestorFX Rochester. Like you can tell it to do all this and it just does it. It's really crazy. It's above my pay grade.
I know.
But I was messing with it a little bit and it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's legit. So what prompted you to start another business like RestorFX? Just, I mean, a lot of the similar answers, like people seeing it at Mobile Tech Expo or whatever, being like, holy shit, this is crazy.
Yeah.
I need this. Is that part of it?
I had first heard about it in our 20 group. And then saw it, actually went and saw it a couple times because I saw it in Florida. Then I saw it in Vegas. And then finally I started talking with them and I ended up going up to Toronto. And being a body tech, I was like, no way does this freaking work.
Right?
Yeah.
You what? No, it doesn't. And then when I saw it work, it was like, duh, like this is good stuff right here. So, you know, just like PDR is good stuff. So now Alex has made it to the point where it's a good product. Now we've actually got to help bring it to the public and let them know about it. So they're here using it and everything more and more. Even the dealers, like some of the dealers just don't understand like the fit of it. Like I just had a recon director over here yesterday that I'm working with, and like their one guy keeps pulling me over, and like the bumper's got paint missing off of it all over the place and it's scratched, and I'm like, no, this is for your mobile paint guy. You know, it's just frustrating. So I had him come over. I'm like, you see this right here? This is what we fix. We make this look like that without all the hours of polishing, or you put some secret sauce on it and 3 weeks later it looks the same way that it did. You know,
Yeah, I think that's the most difficult thing to overcome is that type of stuff, you know, where it's like, yeah, someone will make it shiny for $150 or whatever, you know.
Right.
Well,
that's the hard part.
The snake oil stuff seems like it's becoming more prominent. Like I'm hearing it and seeing it so much, and I'm like, I really hope. And at first I was all on those forums and the Facebooks, and I'm like, you know, not to say bashing them, but I'm like, you know, what y'all are doing is going to ruin our industry, just like our own, like the dent guys ruined its own industry, right? Like we had the same type of people doing the same stuff, and where I'm just like, what do we do to prevent that? And I really don't think that there's anything but to just make sure your local market knows what the difference is, right? That's our job as individual business owners.
I mean, just make it look like a significantly more legitimate business, like with the shop environment, with the beauty of it, with the time it takes, with all that stuff. You're not just going to a lot and applying it. Just make the difference so stark that it's not even the same
and
thing.
that was a big thing with him, because he saw one that was ready to be coated, right? He saw it all prepped and he's like, oh my God, you do all this before you do this? It's like, well, yeah, like we want to get everything off of the clear coat before we're putting things on top of it. Right. We're not just putting some, you know, WD-40 and kerosene in a bottle and wiping it on the car and hoping for the best, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think it like clicked with him, like, wow, for what you're charging to do this, like, you do all this for this? I'm like, well, yeah, it's based
and then
on
you're giving it to your customer,
so
like your
let's
customer
get some cars here.
right.
Yeah, I'm not cashing out on this. He's like, well, how do you make money doing this? I go, volume. You know, being a dealer, guaranteed volume, you know, and you know, with that throughput, and then, you know, obviously you make more on a retail vehicle, but you know, you're going a little bit above and beyond on something like that as well. So
it's pretty cool that you went backwards, like everybody else comes in and we all go for wholesale first, and then you kind of did that total opposite, right?
The first car,
necessity, or was that the plan all along? I don't know. I'm just curious.
My biggest problem is, like we always talk about, having time to go out there and get the dealers again, because I had no dealers. You know, I had one that I worked with a little bit, but I came back and I did all the, you know, the family vehicles and the, hey, let me show you something kind of vehicle. And I did like, I don't even know if I did a couple of the one dealer that I'm doing vehicles before. My first one that I coated by myself was a 911 black, you know, and it's like, okay, you know, I mean, I've been coating all the other ones, but as far as my first like full blown retail job was that. And I'm like, just like dent repair, I'm like, well, you're going to figure it out and you're going to make it happen, because that rent check's coming at the end of the month, you know, and, guy freaking loved it. So,
but again, the best part about RestorFX is if you don't like it, strip it, right? You don't like it, strip it and redo it. Like that's the best part about it. And that's why I don't really put up with the quality issue. It's like, dude, do it 20 times if you have to, right? I don't give a shit.
Right. Just take it off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's no reason for drag marks or, you know, dry line. You can't correct it. You're going to buff it right off the car. So just wipe it off and redo it, you know.
I think for the people that are considering opening up a store, and I know, or a license of RestorFX, and I know several people have on this podcast. I don't think that's something that's talked about that much. I was never a body guy, but obviously I've been around body shops. Once you spray the paint or spray the clear, like you wait, see what it looks like the next day, and then if it's bad, you got to do it all over again. But one of the most unique things about RestorFX is that, and we'll see if we can explain the technicality of it, but we're hand applying over our prepped panels, right? And you have somewhere up to about 30 minutes realistically to take that clear coat back off the panel. So if you imagine, and maybe you guys can correct around the edges if you have a better thing to say, but like clear coat's a porous surface. So we're laying the RestorFX on top of the clear coat to begin with, right? We're applying it over. And then overnight, as it's curing, it's actually essentially seeping into the pores of the clear coat and then becoming the same clear coat. So before that happens, you can take it off and do it again, which I know sounds weird because you can't really do that with ceramic coating or spray clear or anything really that I know of.
Or paintless dip repair.
Or PDR. You crack the paint, you can't turn back time. And so that is a pretty fascinating and unique situation because there was like in the beginning, there were so many times we strip panels. I mean, geez, Louise, I'm sure we don't really, I mean, every once in a while we do it now, but usually it's because something went wrong, like you touched it or something like with your sleeve or something. You're like,
yep. Well, that's like my first guy. He would apply to a hood and he's like, oh, that'll buff out tomorrow. I'm like, no, that won't.
Yeah.
Like, and he's applying with the 3 inches of the applicator going down the hood. I'm like, that's why you have these lines in your application process. Like, stop, strip it, do it over again. You know.
And, for sure.
Keep doing the same thing over again and hoping for different results. You know, it's just insanity.
So how many cars a day are you doing with RestorFX on average?
You don't even want to know.
Yeah, we do.
And
bad.
It's not because the number is high. We're about a 3/4 a car a day shop if we have the work. Right now, I'm starving as far as work coming through the shop.
Everything does have snow on it.
Yeah,
which makes it tough.
No, we really haven't had any snow.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the other day.
We got a dusting, but that was that was it. But what is hurting me, I think, is the whole wholesale end of it. And I was telling Corey, stuff was smooth as glass all summer long. We had a bunch of executive packages in here, or just the car getting RestorFX on it, and we had dealer work and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm slammed with dent repair and trying to run the front end, and I had trying to find somebody for the front end is disgustingly horrible. Like, you can pay them a mint and forget it. Like, she decided to go back to the medical field or whatever. So I'm doing that again, and it's like, I need to be able to leave to go sell this because nobody else can do it but me at this point, and I didn't have that time, and it kind of bit me in the butt. I was able to grow my business. Like, the business grew over the year. Like, we grew pretty good this year. But coming into this with the weather that we have here at this time, it just right after Thanksgiving, it just took a dive. So
explain what a executive package is too, because you were doing a lot of those over summer.
Yeah, so executive package is your RestorFX clear coat reset, and then you get the ceramic coating put on it as well on the painted surfaces. Anything above and beyond that obviously would be added into the service.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's, basically, all right, well, we ceramic coated it. You've basically got like a 20-step paint correction now on your car for a third of the price. Would you like to protect it now? And usually it's like, well, yeah, that's a no-brainer,
Right.
So we install the ceramic on it, and they love it. They get their cards and their warranty and all that stuff, their guarantee for quality and all that. And it's a big difference. And even ceramic, I don't sell it as like some be all end all product either. I let them know if you want to come back for maintenances, yeah, it's going to last even longer. But if you don't, it'll still be on there. It's just not going to be as hydrophobic and everything.
Yeah.
And okay, so my goal is to set up, like I just had a customer in here the other day, is to set up like an email for everybody that we did everything for last year and let them know, hey, if you would like, you can come in for your maintenance. And that's how I sell it to them. I'm like, I'm not going to tell you it's a 15-year coating.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
their coating isn't a 15-year coating. They're just selling you the maintenance that makes it seem like it lasts that long.
Right.
So.
So what's the plan to get more cars in there then?
I hit about 12 dealers in between Christmas and New Year's.
Mm-hmm.
That week isn't the most ideal time,
No.
just because things are a little crazy.
People aren't there usually.
Well, believe it or not, a lot of the sales managers and stuff were there for the bigger places. My problem here is there are many, many franchises that are all owned by auto groups. So you've got like 3 major auto groups in the area, and trying to get into those auto groups is ridiculous. One doesn't even want you walking their lot for anything. Like, do not walk the lot for dents. Don't walk the lot for RestorFX. One of the owners is pretty crazy about that. Obviously, they own all their own body shops. So, oh, well, you're taking money out of my pocket if you're using vendors. And it's like, you guys can't do this. Like, you'll never be able to fill this void. So
right, you're taking money out of one pocket and putting it in the other, and it doesn't really work like that. If you're spending $1,000 on a car that you can do for $400 or $500,
right,
you're making money. You're not losing it, right?
Yeah.
Well, and in the end, cycle time, getting the car back in the line to sell.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, it looks good, everything's in house, but if you got 3 weeks before it's back on the line, how many times could you have sold that car possibly? Exactly.
What about like B lots? Do y'all have any type of B lots out there?
We do. Yep. Yeah, I've got one that I'm doing stuff for. I've been trying, like that week I went out to all the A lot kind of stuff to try to get that first. But I do have a B lot guy, and you wouldn't believe some of like the dent repair and stuff that we're doing to it. Lots of touch up and then ceramic coating. And he basically said, hey, if I don't like the paint touch up and stuff on the one panel, I'll fix and paint that panel, and I know the rest of the car is good.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I think I have PTSD
because these things are rough. Yeah.
I think I do.
Yeah,
like
right.
I don't
literally
do any of them.
You don't do it. I was driving. I moved my shop location, and like within a few miles, there's several of them. And I drive by, I'm like, I don't even know if I want to go in there, dude. And I know there's a lot of RestorFX guys that I think even up in Bellingham, they're like
Bellingham is big on
good majority on B lot.
Yeah.
And to designate, like I would say A lot is basically a manufacturer dealership. Ford, Kia, franchise dealership, whatever you want to call it. The B lots we're calling them are used car dealerships that are not branded.
They're individually owned by one person, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we used to do a lot of work for those people, but I don't know what it is about that. I was hoping
all my B lots took the demo and never called us again. I'm like, you motherfuckers.
I could see that happening.
Pissed me off. Yeah.
I could see
every single one of them.
I fixed the one car. Yeah.
Yep.
And probably sold the piss out of it, made money, and they just can't put 2 and 2 together, just like your guy can't on a large scale. They just don't see where it fits into their portfolio, right? They have no idea. Right. And it's like, it's really our job to, just like retail, it's our job to sell them on that, but we're just dent guys, right?
You got to hold their hands, right?
Yeah.
Well, even at some of these dealers, like I wasn't talking to the right person. Like, oh, well, we have our used car facility right next door. They're going to deal with all that. I go, okay, cool. I'm going to stop wasting your time with this, but let me tell you about how when your guys at the auction buying your used cars, or you're taking a vehicle in trade, you can build this price into your trade so it doesn't come out of your reconditioning funds. Say every car is they figure $1,500 in reconditioning. Well, when you're taking the trade, just knock another $300, $400, $600 off for RestorFX, and then it's not tapping into the $1,500 that you're going to have to use for brakes
that's
and
just
tires.
It's hard because you're changing their whole like system.
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
That's the hardest part.
So
It is, but you wouldn't believe the deer in the headlights kind of stuff that I got from them because of the fact that I could have that conversation with them.
Yeah.
do you have
You know what I
any
mean?
dealerships? Do you have any dealerships that take like Jeep Wranglers and we're a big truck, like we have big trucks and lifted trucks, right? They'll take a base model truck, they'll put lifts or they'll put like a leveling kit, put tires and rims on it, right? That was like a big thing across the country where dealers were really prone to doing that. And that's how I kind of sold RestorFX. I was like, dude, you don't tell me you don't have the money because you're taking $3,000 and dumping it into a truck, right? Let me do it for $500 and you're going to get the same type of response from your customers as you're selling something that nobody else has, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of hit the deer in the headlights for them where they're like, I can do the same thing on multiple cars instead of only building out 2 trucks. I could do this on my whole. We have one lot right now that literally has every single car on their lot RestorFX.
That's awesome.
Yeah, my dent guy called my manager and was like, Jared, every single car has a sticker on it at this parking lot, and we didn't even realize it.
Right.
It was pretty cool because the dealership manager loved it, right?
Yep. Now they just need to move those cars so you can get some more, right?
Now it's like on me, right? I'm like, dude, y'all better start moving these cars because
you're all restored.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's looking bad.
Right.
Yeah. I've been reading a book from Alex Hormozy. I've read a couple of his books, the newest ones. I think it's $100 million offers. And it's a recurring theme in the book saying basically make the offer so good that they feel silly saying no. It's like keeps coming. It's a Dan Kennedy thing, I believe, originally. And so I've been putting thought into that. Like how do I approach this thing? And I feel like it's already there, but I'm not positioning it right with the RestorFX process. Like make it so good that they still feel silly saying no. Like if I need to, add touch-up in there for free, or if I need to add all the headlights in for free. Sometimes we do that like case-by-case basis, but I want to be able to bring them like, here's the 7 things we're going to do to your car for this much money. And they're just going to be like, rate all of that. I'm trying to figure out how I do that.
Are you talking wholesale or retail?
Well, I guess it'd be 2 different conversations. It'd be 2 different packages.
Because wholesale, like, theoretically the package, if you read it for a wholesale car, that's going to get you touch up in your lights and then the RestorFX all done at the same time. It's not going to get you ceramic or the windshield's done or trim done, but it's going to get that package done. With retail, I do that a lot, especially with like a convertible. Like, hey, you know what? I can refine the top, your convertible top. We're going to vacuum it. We're going to clean it. We're going to put refine on it. So you have ceramic up there also. Oh my God, really? You can do that up there? Yep. And we're not going to add anything to the bill. Meanwhile, I'm billing you to ceramic a whole car, but
Ryan,
did you know just little things.
Dan's using refine as coating on the convertible tops or like the Bronco soft tops. Refine as a spray on ceramic. I had no idea. You told me that. I was like, huh.
So we used a fabric guard for that as well from the numbers line. And I have a manager. We did it to his car. We do it every year for him just to take care of him. But it lasts about a year. He said, man, this thing's beating great. So I said, before it stops, let's get it in again. And it's a Bronco. It's worked really well.
I got a Bronco coming in like a week or two. So it's you said the numbers line, the fabric stuff on numbers.
It's like Protect, I think. I'll have to get you the number of what it actually is. But I think it says Fabric Guard on it, I think. But it's for carpet. Anything that's got some type of fabric material you can spray it on. Beads like really well. Because you could also sell it to the customer, right? It could be a maintenance thing for them or they can come back to you.
Do any of you sell numbers line?
I have it in my waiting room all over the place. And pretty much every customer that gets a executive package, they're going to ask you how do they maintain it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, I'm using all this stuff. I buy McGuire's or whatever. And I'm like, look, if you want, you can stop here at the shop whenever you want, and we have all the product here for you. And they actually like that better because it brings them back into our shop to be able to resell other things. Obviously, I have a lot more services that are going on because they'll come in and then they want something else done, or they got a door ding, right? For us, we're trying to sell them tires and rims and everything else that goes along with it. But it's like dealerships, and we sell that. I tried doing the Royal program, which might be something you should check into.
Yeah.
Trying to do the Royal program for them. And what the dealerships, there's certain words, and Ryan K is really good at this because obviously he was a manager, is these specific types of words that you mention to somebody in a dealership, like customer retention, right? They love it. So if you're applying this stuff or you're selling it with, the dealership has no liability after we apply. We take all that, right, on the Royal program. But what they're going to get is customer retention to be able to sell them brake changes and oil changes and everything else, right? So that's what I try to implement in our local shop, my brick and mortar shop, is customer retention, to get them back in and become regulars. I have people that come in and drink coffee and just hang out. I need to start selling like clothes. It seems like apparel, because every RestorFX I go to, they have a rack with T-shirts and stuff hanging up on it.
I always wondering if it was just because the guys are going through clothes or something, or what, because I had somebody ask me the other day about one of these hats. I'm like, yeah, man, I mean, I guess so. How much do you want to pay for it? Because it cost me $40, so.
Yeah,
but
it's small things like that, like people who you want people to have RestorFX on their vehicle and be proud of it, right? Like they go into car shows, or they're going to their friends and family, and then they'll come back into your shop for just for that, just to come in and buy a T-shirt or a sweatshirt, to be able to represent. They have something that most people don't have on their vehicle.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So,
I mean, that's just a whole nother part of branding the product, because if there were, oh, what's that, and then they're looking at it, and we've even I've even done a couple of ceramic jobs where lower level car or whatever, but people are interested and stuff, and I'm like, tell you what, I'll do like our maintenance wash on it. We'll do a little polishing if it needs it here or there, and then we'll refine it, and we'll have you out of here for $250, because we all know what refine costs per bottle, right?
Right.
Like, that's a hell of a good car wash. You know what I mean? And just trying to offer products all the way across the board, opposed to them having to spend $2,000 on a ceramic coating job if you're never going to sell it to them,
right?
Or they might come back next year and be like, hey, you know what? I really like that stuff, but let's go with something that's going to last a little longer this time. And, it's like a drug dealer. Here, just give them a little taste, and they'll come back for some more, And, but I found that with just my dent business, is not everybody is 100% retail customer. That's not what they're looking for. Listen to what that customer wants, and, get the sale, let them start using your product so they can figure out what it is.
Right.
I know so I feel like I've hired very, very slowly, like over time. I would say everybody except for 2 people that work for me in my family. So that helps, pros and cons. But I've hired very slowly over time, and those people have stuck. And so I know you've had to hire a few technicians. One ended up going back to another job. One was flaky as hell, apparently. And then, so what, now that you've done that.
And I still hire very slow.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm like a year. I'm like talking about it. Like the dent guy I hired, I was like over a year of talking about it, maybe come on board, and like all the, like, here's what it would look like and all that type of stuff. And so way too slow to grow a company quickly. Obviously it's not the best way to do it, but and they've stuck so far. I have not had anybody quit, and so I don't have a lot of experience on hiring people, to be honest. But you've had to hire a few people. So what, now that you've done it a few times, what are you looking for? Like if you had to hire again tomorrow, what are you going to go out there and try to find for a RestorFX technician?
For RestorFX?
Yeah, not PD.
As an installer.
I mean, you have one guy, right? Who's a prep / installer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everything.
And then me.
Yeah. You. Like my guy does everything with RestorFX. He preps, he installs, he drops and picks up the cars. He goes and walks lots on Fridays because we don't do a lot of cars on Fridays because then we have to come in on Saturday. Sometimes we do.
Right.
Just depends on our weekend schedule.
Right.
And so he's kind of doing all those things. So I hired him for everything. Ideally, I hire a second helper and take some of that away from him. But anyways, so someone who does everything you're not going to do, I guess.
Personality is going to be huge for me. And then I guess, somebody that does have interest in vehicles. It's not just a job for them. Like they're looking for something that they can find a sense of accomplishment in. And I mean, if there's anything better than PDR, it's RestorFX, right? Because you don't need tons and tons and tons of practice to do RestorFX as you do to remove dents. But it's something that they can be taught the process, and they can make that car look like $1 million and feel good about it at the end of the day. And also, like I said, car enthusiasts seem to be some of the better fits. Like you don't need to have a show car or anything like that, but you're just interested in it. You're interested in vehicles, and whether it's a Highline car or a hot rod or whatever, just because you kind of can appreciate, like we all do, when you do a solid thing for someone with a vehicle, making that person feel good about it also.
100%. What do you think, Ryan? As far as hiring, I know you've hired certain people.
Oh man, I think
It's the hardest question.
Lucky. I think I got really lucky, but it's like I've definitely gone through quite a few of them. In the 4 years I've had RestorFX, but I really think that now, like, because we're kind of known around, you want people to buy into what the future is like. So like I feel like whenever I'm interviewing somebody, I feel like I'm trying to inspire them to know what our goals are and where we're trying to fit, because you can see on their face whether they're interested in that or they're just going to come to work for a paycheck. I have one guy that we just hired not long ago, but he's one of our dent technicians' family, so I kind of did him a favor by hiring him. But I can tell off top that he's just no ambition to want to grow. And I said, I gave him everything. I gave him all these inspirational speeches and texts throughout the day. And he's just like, look, man, I appreciate it, but I just want to come to work, clock in, clock out, and can I get paid for any extra time that I spend over here, right? And it's like, he's trying to find that person. You get really good at reading people the more you go through them. I'm not saying, if you own a RestorFX or own a company, to just mow through employees, because it becomes costly and stressful for sure. But just really ask the right questions. Like ask, what are your 5-year goals? What's your 1-year goal? And you can see on their face whether they're going to lie to you or not, what their goals are going to be. If they're looking for a career, obviously that's somebody that you want to put into an installer tech position, right? If they're just like, hey, I want to come in and clock in, I'm trying to put myself through school, or I'm saving money to go back to school, that's going to be somebody that you want to hire as a porter or maybe just a helper for now, right? It's hard to change people. I've realized that. I'm like, man, I feel like I can create this environment that's so great for people to come work in, and you'd be an idiot not to come here and create a career out of it. But dude, people are the way they are, and they're not going to change. So you really have to be able to read them.
Some of them will just take advantage of you too.
Oh yeah.
They're just along for the ride as long as they can ride it.
Oh, it's always the first 2 weeks to a month. It's like, man, sometimes you're just like so impressed by somebody, and then that month hits and it's like, who the fuck is this guy? Yeah. Like, that's not who I hired, right?
That 2 to 3 month mark right there, it's like, that's the be all end all. Like, all right, you're going to stick around, or no, you're getting the boot.
Yeah, I mean, that's why
What's
all
the-
the big companies do like the 90-day probation.
Yep.
Well, I was about to say that a body
Oh, yeah.
shop that I worked for back in the day, they said it was a 90-day grace period where I had to be a 1099 employee and 1099 contractor, and they wouldn't even give me a T-shirt that's had
Oh,
the
wow.
company's logos on it, right?
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I was like, man, I want to be a guy with a T-shirt that's got the collision center's name on it. So I worked my butt off. That's just who I am in general. But
Yep.
that's what they did, and it's kind of like as we grow, you got to start running your small businesses like a Fortune 500 company, and those are the small things that they do, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. That's good advice.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of good stuff in there. I know I'm hiring. My goal is to hire another technician in about, I would say, March or April of this year for RestorFX. And so I've been looking for months already, though. I've talked to other vendors that are out there doing stuff, people that I know, people that for me, when I'm looking, I'm just like, now I'm looking for a person. I'm like, who's going to hustle? That's that's the biggest thing. Like if I have somebody that at least has the desire to either make themselves proud or make me proud, either one, whether they're going to show up for themselves or just show up because they don't want to let somebody else down at the least. And I can teach them things. Like I can coach them. I can teach them what the world looks like. I can teach them I can teach them how to do RestorFX, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. I think that's that's probably the biggest thing for me that I'm looking at.
I will say, me and my brother had a conversation the other day talking about, we come from the service industry, right? Mm-hmm. Like we worked in restaurants most of our life, and like we just know how to satisfy people, and we know that it's not just like, it's not my job, I'm not going to do it. In a restaurant, dude, you're back there washing dishes, you're sweeping the floor, you're doing everybody's job because it's not just yours. You're on commission based, which is most of the automotive industry, right? So it's like, it's weird how now when I'm in public places and I get a good experience from somebody that works at another location or some other store, I'm always like, I tried pulling a guy from the Jiffy Lube 5-minute oil change. I was like, dude, you like your job? He was like, man, this is actually my last day. I'm opening up my own company and doing all these things. I was like,
yeah, you're like, I knew it. Like, I knew it. Yeah.
Because this guy, I've always getting my oil change, right? And I'm like, I've had the best experience ever with you, and I would hire you. I told him, I said, I'd hire you tomorrow. And he was like, sorry. But you'll find them out there, dude. Yeah.
I think that's where it is, like looking for that and then trying to bring them over. That's kind of where I'm at too. And I think as far as the front end manager, I think finding a body shop estimator is the way to go on that. I've talked to several of them. I don't really need that to fill that position right now, because it's a combination of my office manager doing it and then me handling the insurance claims, but they're just expensive. I think they're just kind of
it'll be easy to pull them from big body shop chains because they don't make a lot of money.
The ones out here that I asked, I'm like, fuck, dude. I'm like, damn, not doing bad.
Yeah, they're not doing bad for sure. But they like the benefits. So I mean, that's one thing for us in 2024 is to figure out how we can offer all of our guys benefits. Because you're going to get a whole other type of people in there working for you.
If you offer consistent worker,
Well, people will be willing to work for less money knowing that they have benefits.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And that's anywhere, right?
Yeah, that's like Joe. We just got him healthcare through here, and it's actually a really good plan through my payroll company and everything like that. But nice. I've had it here for other people too. Yeah. And you almost have to. I don't do 401k or anything. Like when I can start putting money into my 401k, I'll because I've blown all mine with my business, right? I've got no problem with everybody benefiting, but the business has to grow some more before that can happen. But healthcare is huge. Everybody that comes in, I give them 2 weeks vacation that accrues over the year that they're here. So if they need vacation time, they can use it or whatever. Just because I know I had to fight so hard for vacation time when I was a tech,
Right.
and I don't want them to have to do it, you know. And in my handbook, you know, you can roll. I think they can roll a week over, otherwise they lose it. You know, like I'm not going to pay somebody for a month of vacation.
I think
Did you make your own handbook, or you paid somebody? My bad.
So my handbook was, it's part of my payroll company, where I could go in there and put all my information in and everything, and then it's got all of New York State's rules and regulations and everything that they have.
It's good to know.
Yes, you can do this. No, you can't do this. You know, and it was free. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's part of my payroll company. So
Cool. It's good to know.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
it's really easy to do. It's a living document, so you can always go in and update it and change it however you see fit. Like I had some stuff I didn't like how it was, and went back and changed it. And
Yeah, cool.
so, and of course you give it to your guys and like, yeah, okay, you know.
Right.
But I mean, it's protecting you.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, you need that. We all need that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for my guy and I think for that like the next generation that are all, you know, younger than us, 10 years younger than us, and flexibility, I think, is the huge thing, which is fascinating to me. But it's just the truth. Like I've always just worked, you know, pretty much start at 7, 8, or 9 and ended at 5, 6, or 7. I mean, that's pretty much how it worked. But like the guy that we have now, is the flexibility. I'm like, he's got to go get a haircut at this time or whatever. I'm like, I don't care what 8 hours you work, but you just got to work the 8 hours. If you come in at 11 o'clock, if you have nothing on the calendar and you're doing a wholesale, I don't care. And that's been pretty good for us. I mean, they're within reason. Obviously, he's not working a night shift where he comes in at 4 and leaves at midnight. But like, I'll let him come in at 11 if he's going to do a car or two in that day. That's what we have, and he does them by 7. Whatever, if that's what he wants. If he went out on New Year's Eve till 4 a.m., then the next day was slow, like I was cool with that. So I don't know if that's, I feel like maybe not a lot of, I've told that to other people, and a lot of other like bosses are like, oh, you let him do that? And I'm like, I don't feel like I have to, but I feel like it's not no skin off my back necessarily.
When you start to grow, that's when it becomes an issue, right? Because then you get one person sees that guy can do it. That's when it becomes like, and that's what's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard for you to get another technician in there and have that guy work normal hours, right?
Unless he wants to be fucked. Yeah, for sure. That's true.
And it's like going to be really hard to take your old technician. Yeah, it's all hard, right? But that's what I'm saying is like, if you take a small business, if you want to grow any type of way, you have to run it like a Fortune 500 company.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Good point. Killer.
But you just got to have a good time doing it, right? Like I know guys who own, this guy owns a dealership, and this guy really appreciates his customers. Like he takes care of them on a personal side. And he spends a lot of money to make sure that his, you know, people who work for him are happy, like New Year's Eve parties and car shows and all these things. And it's crazy. Like they really appreciate that stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Good point. Good stuff. Dude.
When the funds are there, it's all good.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I feel like we covered everything on this one today: hiring, PDR, RestorFX, growing, everything, even the numbers line, which we never get. Even the as far as RestorFX process application, being able to strip it. So if you guys ever have any questions about RestorFX or about wanting to start one, or you know, we're not only here to just tell you that everything is perfect with RestorFX. I feel like Ryan and I have done a pretty solid job over the last at least year. Probably a little more than that. No, because it was after last MTE, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been about a year. Two MTEs ago.
Yeah, 2 MTEs ago.
Yeah.
So
damn, that's crazy. 2 MTEs ago.
Yeah.
So over the last couple of years of like giving you the real stuff, like the real part about RestorFX, and it is a real business to grow, and it is a phenomenal company, and a phenomenal product. But it's not. You don't just sign up and win.
Right.
You know?
No,
you're not putting a sign on the building and everybody's just showing up. You're still starting a whole nother business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
You have
So-
all back end support and everything that you could look up in your portal and all that stuff, but
Mhm.
in the end, you still have to do it. You know.
Well,
and
thanks for coming on.
MTE, yeah, MTE is coming up in a few weeks. So if
Yeah.
you guys do want to talk to us or me and Corey or anybody really in a RestorFX, just message us and we'll meet up with you somewhere and we'll have a drink.
Yeah, let's do it. I'll be there.
Mhm.
Dan, thanks for
Yeah.
coming on. Thanks for being honest and telling us what it's really about. I wish you all the success 2024. And if you ever need
Thanks.
anything from us, feel free to reach out to us and maybe we can,
Yep.
you know, give you something, a little nugget that could potentially help or vice versa. So,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
and if you guys want to follow more information, go join the Masters of Recon Facebook group. And that is it. We'll see you at
Good one.
MTE.
Sounds good. See you at MTE.
All right.
All right.
Till next time, guys.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Masters of Recon podcast. If you're getting value from this podcast, then please subscribe to the show and give us a review so others can find our show as well. And if you haven't joined the discussion yet, then go find us over at Masters of Recon Facebook group to join the weekly discussion. See you all next time.